Randall sat on the bench outside the soda shop, looking out at the empty town square. His TV was broken, and he didn't own a smartphone, so he was hunting for some entertainment this Saturday morning. He'd already shot 2 squirrels with his BB gun and skipped stones at the pond, and it wasn't even 11 o'clock yet. It was springtime in Nezzlecreek, that lovely little town just south of Branson, Missouri, which meant birds were chirping, flowers were blooming, and love was supposedly in the air. Randall remained unimpressed with the whole thing. He was a simple young man who liked fishing and shooting his BB gun. He'd spent a majority of his summers since turning 12 on hunting and fishing trips with his dad and Uncle Monty. He was 16 now and liked girls, but thought they were kind of dumb all the same. The soda shop downtown was where a lot of the young boys and girls gathered at different times during the day for youthful shenanigans. Though that was typically the case, it was a ghost town at 10:30 in the morning. Randall was the only one there for about 10 whole minutes before he noticed, off in the distance, a curly, short-haired brunette girl walking towards him. She walked with rounded shoulders, like she was a tough girl, but also shy. This curly-haired tough girl noticed Randall out of her peripheral and was slightly annoyed that she wasn't alone, nor could sit on the bench lest she'd have to make conversation with a stranger. Instead, she stood curbside, looking awkwardly in no particular direction. This girl wore a white sundress with a pretty blue floral pattern. It looked like she might be on her way to church. Randall noticed she was carrying a brown, woven picnic basket. Randall wondered silently if she was going to a church picnic. This nameless girl had a slight unease about her that suggested whatever, or whoever, she was waiting for wasn't on time, and that fact was making her nervous. Randall very much liked the blue floral pattern on this girl's dress. It matched her pretty blue eyes. It reminded him of water. He liked water. Water made him think of fishing. He watched her pace from side to side along the curb, not for any particular reason other than she was something interesting to look at for a time. He didn't mean nothing by it. She just looked kind of familiar, though Randall couldn't quite put his finger on it. He thought he'd seen her around school, but he knew all of the girls who were in his class. This was going to bug him. Finally, as she was pacing about, it came to him. Randall realized who she was. She was that Duffy girl, Sierra Duffy. Gosh, it had been years since he'd seen her. Sierra was the little sister of Greg and Wyatt Duffy. He used to play football and stickball with those boys when he was younger. Sierra was their dirty-faced, tomboy little sister who always wanted to play with them but would get shooed away by the older boys. They moved away to southern Illinois some years ago, but now they were back. This was all starting to make sense for him now. Randall thought he saw Wyatt in the hallway 2 Fridays ago on his way to lunch, and honestly didn't even recognize him really. Puberty had hit Wyatt like a freight train, and Randall kind of thought he was a new janitor the school had hired. It wasn't until lunch when he overheard that blockhead, Frank Kroger, in the pizza line shooting off at the mouth about how those good-for-nothing Duffys were back in town. Randall didn't have any issues with the Duffy family. He wasn't all too familiar with any gossip surrounding their family, but unfortunately, hot gossip was as good as cash in a place like Nezzlecreek. Randall didn't care about that sort of stuff like a lot of the town did. With stuff like that, he figured if it was important enough, he'd hear about it eventually. All he knew was that his memories of the Duffys were mostly good. The worst Randall could remember was that on one afternoon, he'd gotten tackled really hard by Greg, who was the eldest and more athletic of the Duffy brothers. Randall limped for 2 weeks after that. That all felt like ages ago. Sierra would have been pretty young during all of that, and so Randall figured she probably wouldn't remember him. Instead of going to the trouble of trying to rejog her memory, he just smiled with a quiet scoff, feeling accomplished that he remembered all of that. Meanwhile, Sierra continued to pace alongside the curb. She noticed from her peripheral that Randall was still watching her. "Hey!" Sierra said, turning to Randall. "Why are you staring at me for?" "I don't know," he answered. "Well, take a picture. It'll last longer." "I ain't got no camera." "Real funny," Sierra scoffed. She went back to pacing. Randall continued to follow her with his eyes. Sierra tried to pretend like he wasn't bugging her anymore, but he definitely was. "You got a problem or something?" she asked plainly. "No, just looking," he said, very matter of fact. "What for?" For one, you're holding a picnic basket at 10:30 in the morning, so that's weird. You never heard of brunch? And last time I checked, carrying a picnic basket at 10:30 a.m. ain't a crime, officer, she fired back. I ain't no cop. These are just my observations. No crime here, darling. Well, I'd appreciate it if you didn't keep looking at me. Ain't your mom ever teach you it's rude to stare? My mama's dead, he said dryly. Oh, Sierra was embarrassed. Sorry about your mom. It's all right. I ain't know her too well. Well, she thought, regardless, I shouldn't have said what I said. There was a pause briefly as the dust settled from Sierra's last comment. Sierra finally spoke up again. I just don't see why you have to keep on staring at me is all. Randall considered her comment, scratching his chin thoughtfully. I don't see what the big deal is that I look at you. You're in front of me after all. Unless you're suggesting that I go out of my way to not look at you. Even though I was just minutes ago minding my own business before you got here. I'm just wondering what your reason is all. Why has there got to be some reason? Well, of course there's a reason, she insisted. Not to get too philosophical with you, miss, but there ain't always got to be a reason. That's why guys stare at girls, 'cause of some reason. And what is that reason exactly? He pressured. Oh, don't be so dense, Sierra said, rolling her eyes. Randall gave her a look like he didn't have a clue what she could be referring to. Oh, come on, what were you, born yesterday or something? They look at him 'cause, well, you know, like they like him or want to talk to him or something. Well, that's dumb. No, you're dumb, she furrowed her brow. How do you figure? Randall asked. You're sitting there acting like I'm crazy to be reading into why some strange fella might be looking at me. Well, to use your same line of reasoning, I was looking at that fire hydrant just moments after you got here, and you ain't accused me of liking it. Because people staring at fire hydrants don't mean nothing, she said. I figure a statement like that is rude to fire hydrants. Fire hydrants need love too, he said, being coy now. Well, then why don't you stop staring at me and go kiss that fire hydrant you love so much? She pointed across the street. I don't feel any kind of way about that fire hydrant, and so it would be daggone foolish for me to go up and kiss that fire hydrant. Well, then why the heck did you even bring it up for then? She had forgotten even what her point was. Because the fire hydrant was right there when I was looking over there, and now I'm looking over here where you just happen to be standing. See, if I liked you in the way that you were accusing me of liking that fire hydrant, I wouldn't just stare at you. I'd say something to you. Sierra let out a scoff of frustration and decided she'd try again at ignoring him, not really responding to his last remark. She continued to pace around looking at her phone and then down at her basket. After a while, she set the basket down on the curb. She also stopped pacing. She stared down at her feet for a bit like she was thinking about something deep or introspective. Randall noticed she wore these nice little white tennis shoes with a blue trim that were really complimentary to her dress. After some time staring at her feet, Sierra found a seat on the curb next to her basket. So what's with the picnic basket? Randall asked. Sierra let out a frustrated ugh, foolishly believing that maybe, just maybe, their conversation was over. Why do you keep talking to me for? 'Cause now I'm interested. Randall smiled. You're walking around with that little picnic basket and your flower dress, talking at me all loud, making a ruckus. What can I say? It's entertaining. I ain't got much else to do today. Oh, I'm entertaining? She got back up to her feet and snatched her basket off the curb. Is that it? I'm here to entertain you, sir. Why don't you just admit that you're a crazy person so I can scream for the authorities and we can just get it over with, you creep? I ain't no creep. You're the creep. I was sitting here looking around and then you just started yelling at me, being all unfriendly like a crazy person. False. Everyone who knows me knows I'm a very friendly person who loves animals, and so for me to be upset like this is clearly your doing. Miss, may I remind you that you are the one who started talking to me? I was just sitting here minding my own business. I only started talking to you because you were staring at me. All right, fine. Have it your way. Randall turned around and faced the soda shop, which put him in a very awkward position, sitting with his back facing Sierra. It wasn't about comfort, but to prove a point. Sierra looked at Randall and couldn't help but feel a little bad for this fool who was sitting backwards on a bench staring at an empty soda shop that wouldn't be open for a few more hours. I'm meeting someone, Sierra finally said after some silence. What? Randall was confused, as if he'd forgotten they were having a conversation at all. You asked me what I was doing here with this basket. Well, I'm meeting someone. Randall turned back around to face Sierra. You having a picnic or something? Something like that. Is he late? You've been waiting for a little bit now. I don't know. Sierra answered shyly like a timid schoolgirl. Or did he stand you up? Shut up! She snapped back into the firecracker she was. All right, fair enough. He didn't stand me up, all right. I think he probably just got held up. Maybe. Randall wasn't convinced. Oh, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Maybe. It means maybe. There was a pause between the two of them for a moment after Randall said that. The moment was soft. Like a certain realization had come into soft focus that the two were now talking about something fragile in nature. This guy you're meeting, is he your boyfriend? Randall asked. No, she answered sharply. Not at this rate anyways. What does that mean? It means I have to see about something first. See about what? Sierra paused for a moment. She seemed kind of embarrassed with the whole thing now. I was going to ask him to open this pickle jar for me. She pulled out a glass pickle jar out of her picnic basket to show Randall. A pickle jar? See, I knew you wouldn't understand. She defensively put the jar back in her basket. And so y'all are just going to eat pickles on this date? I hope you brought some floss and mouthwash in that basket too. Randall chuckled at his comment. As a matter of fact, I got a couple of knuckle sandwiches in this basket if you keep it up. Sierra balled her fist up. Hey, I don't want no trouble. I just think pickles are a hell of a thing to eat out on a date. We're not just eating pickles, doofus. I'm going to make us sandwiches. Sandwiches that include pickles. Who just eats pickles? I like pickles. Well, so do I. Just not on a date anyway. Which ain't even what this is. It's not a date? Well, she thought, maybe it is. I mean, when I asked him out. Wait, you asked him out? No, it was mutual. Well, he DM'd me about going to his game tonight, and I said maybe if I had time. And then I asked him to meet me before lunch to walk around and talk maybe. See if he'll open his pickle jar for me. I don't know. It's complicated. Sounds complicated. I don't have to explain nothing to you. All right, fine. Don't. Randall dropped it. The two went back to ignoring each other for a minute or so before the silence became too much again. Not that I owe you an explanation or anything, Sierra began. It's a tradition. A tradition? Yes, a tradition. Geez, what are you, deaf? Nah, I'm hearing you clearly. I just don't understand is all. I don't think I've heard of a pickle jar opening tradition in this town. Well, there is. It's about the guy opening the jar for the girl so she ain't got to stress herself none. It's chivalrous. Then the girl uses the pickles along with anything else to make a sandwich for the two of them to share. And then the two of them live happily ever after eating sandwiches to their heart's content. Or something like that. That's the way my mama used to tell that story. My daddy opened up a pickle jar for her on their first date, and his daddy did the same for my nana. Ain't your daddy ever do that? Her tone softened. You know, for your mama? Randall wasn't offended in the slightest to talk about his dead mother, but he could appreciate Sierra's discomfort to bring it up. It revealed a soft tenderness about her that he quite liked. I don't know what my daddy did, Randall said to her. He don't really talk about her much or how they met or nothing like that. Oh, she didn't know what else to say. Well, it's a tradition of the town as far as I know. My mama used to tell me that it was. She'd say, don't let no boy kiss you if he ain't got enough home training to open a jar for you first. Randall considered her statement. He mostly agreed. I used to open olive jars and medicine bottles for my nana when I was little. She'd always let me do it because she had bad wrists and said I had a knack for it. That's nice. You know, Randall started in again, you ain't got to stand all out by the curb. This bench plenty big for the both of us. I'm fine. You must be getting a little tired now from all that pacing. Come sit down. I said I'm fine. Thank you. Is it because I'm sitting here? No, I just don't want to get too comfortable and then suddenly have to split. For the date. Right. Well, I figure it's about time for me to split anyways. The bench is all yours if you want it, or just keep standing out by the curb. I hope your pickle jar gets opened or whatever. Randall stood up and started down the block. Hey, don't leave on my account, Sierra shouted to Randall, who was about halfway down the block now. He wasn't ignoring her, but he definitely was mostly done with this conversation. She caught up with him down the block. "Hey," Sierra said, grabbing Randall by the arm. "What? What did I do now? Is that it? You're just going to get me all riled up and then go on about your day?" "I didn't mean to get you all riled up. I was just minding my own business like I told you." "Yeah, right. You give me this whole spiel and now you're just going to wander off into the sunset, cowboy? Not even going to tell me your name or nothing like that? Well, that just seems rude." "I ain't mean nothing by it. My name is Randall." "Randall?" Sierra repeated, scrunching her face as she mulled over in her head where she knew that name. "Why does that sound familiar? You used to come over to our house," Sierra interrupted. "That's right. I thought you looked familiar. You were friends with my brothers." Randall chuckled with awe. "Wow, I can't believe you remember that." "Of course." Sierra stared nervously down at her feet. "We ain't have too many people come over. My daddy don't really like having people over at the house." "Sure, I get it." "Well," she nervously smiled at him. "How you been?" "I've been all right." "You?" She shrugged her shoulders. "I've been all right." There wasn't much else either of them could think to say, and so they just stared at each other, enjoying the sweet silence. "What brings y'all back to town?" Randall finally asked. "My daddy got some work." "He's still working on cars?" "Yeah, he's a diesel mechanic now." "Right on." He nodded. "Duffy!" a voice shouted. Randall and Sierra turned their heads down the block to see who the voice belonged to. It came from the open driver's side window of a tan 1986 Mercedes convertible that was pulling up beside them. "Hey there, Mama. You looking a little lost," the driver of this car said obnoxiously, with his big jock head and shovel chin. "Oh, hey Shane," Sierra said. This was her date. Randall immediately recognized him. Shane O'Donnell. He was an ass. He was a senior at the high school, always wearing his varsity jacket like it was the only piece of clothing he owned. He was wearing it now. He was the typical, arrogant, charming jock type. "Sorry I'm late. I just forgot," he said without a shred of remorse or empathy. "That's okay," Sierra said sadly. Randall wasn't sure what to say, but he hated this situation so far. "Who's this?" he asked, looking at Randall. "Oh, wait a minute. You're one of the freshman players, aren't you? The punter?" "I don't play football," Randall said. "Waterboy?" Shane tried again. "Nope." Randall was very irritated. "Oh, well, whatever." Shane looked back at Sierra. "Well, come on, get in." He motioned to the passenger seat with his head. "What's with the basket?" "Oh, well, I thought maybe we could go on a picnic. Remember, I messaged you about going on a walk for a bit?" "Nah, I don't want to do that. Picnics are for queers. I was thinking we'd go for a ride, he said, smiling. "A little something to get me in the right headspace before my big game tonight." Sierra shyly began to rub her arm while she stared down at the ground. "Oh, well, I don't know, Shane. Come on. I know a spot where we can go just outside of town. We can be alone for a bit. Talk." "I just really wanted to go on a walk first. Sit and have a picnic." Shane let out a big, exaggerated breath of frustration. "Oh, Lord. All right, then. What you got in that basket for me? Something good? You got any jerky in there? I love me some jerky." "Well, Sierra began to say, sounding nervous and unsure of herself. "No, I don't have that, but I do have some other yummy fixings in here for us." She set her picnic basket down and started sifting through it. The first thing she pulled out was the jar of pickles because it was set towards the top. "Oh, ew! Pickles! I hate pickles! What the hell kind of thing is that to bring on a picnic?" Sierra froze. She looked at Shane with a puzzled, embarrassed expression on her now red face. "Oh, well, pickles ain't the only thing I got in here. There's other stuff too." "Well, them pickles gotta go. If you're gonna roll with me, I don't want that crap in my car. You ain't eating none today, did you? I can't kiss no girl with pickle breath. Just the smell alone will make me gag. You trying to get me sick before my big game?" "No," Sierra said with an apologetic tone. She was noticeably quivering. "I swear you Duffies are freaks, man," Shane chuckled. "They warned me about getting involved with y'all. I thought your daddy was finally working again. I guess he still can't afford to feed y'all anything other than pickles, huh? Randall looked over at Sierra's dejected posture. Shane's words were a harpoon into her chest, and they crumpled this poor little girl. Randall noticed tears beginning to run down Sierra's cheeks, though she was trying her best to fight them. He looked back at Shane. Sierra looked at Randall, and then back down at her feet. It's supposed to be a tradition. It's supposed to mean something, Sierra mumbled. Randall heard her, but Shane did not. Oh, jeez. What are you crying about? It ain't that serious. Come on. Get in. Shane leaned lazily out of his window, with his palm open, inviting Sierra to join him. Let's just forget about it. I have to go, Sierra said, before turning to run off in the other direction, down the alleyway between the soda shop and the barber shop. What a weird girl, man, Shane remarked. Those Duffys, boy, let me tell you. Can you believe she wanted to eat pickles? What a freak. I don't think she just wanted to eat pickles, Shane, Randall said, with a stone-cold look of disgust on his face. You know anything about the Duffys? Not really. I know they've always been nice to me. I like them. I heard since they've been back that they mama and the boys been going from house to house begging. Begging? Randall echoed for clarification. Yes, sir. They've been asking to mow lawns or detail cars because they daddy still don't make enough money to pay the bills. Well, I don't know nothing about that. They never came to my house, and you can't always trust what people say. People say a lot of crazy shit, I reckon. I mean, the story checks out as far as I can tell, especially if all that girl has to eat for lunch is pickles. Shane shuddered at the thought. Jeez, I thought maybe she would be an easy smash, a little something to pump and dump before my game tonight, but I ain't trying to work that hard for it. You know what I'm saying? Randall was disgusted with Shane. He was conflicted within. He wanted to go find Sierra, but he also didn't want to let Shane keep bad-mouthing the Duffy family. Randall cleared his throat. You a fan of sandwiches, Shane? The question confused him. Sure. I got one for you. What? Wham! Before Shane could even form a thought, Randall socked him right in the face and knocked him clean out cold. Shane laid there sprawled over the center console with his foot sticking out of the driver's side window. We call that one a knuckle sandwich. Hold the pickles, Randall said. The sucker punch dropped Shane like a sack of potatoes, and he wouldn't be getting up anytime soon. Randall went after Sierra. He caught up with her at the end of the alley. She was leaned up against the building crying. Hey, are you all right? Randall asked, sharply. Yeah, I'm going to be all right, she said with a quiver in her voice that she was trying to hide. I was a fool is all. What makes you say something like that? You saw. I was a total idiot back there. Of course he wouldn't want to go on a picnic with someone like me. What kind of stupid idea is that anyway? My mom was wrong, she said, wiping tears from her eyes. Randall gently brushed her shoulder to console her. Sierra had tears really streaming down her eyes now. Your mama ain't wrong. Shane ain't nothing but a shovel-chin chump who ain't got no home training. It's whatever. I think I just need to go home. Well, hold on. Randall stopped her once again. Now listen, if you want my opinion, Shane is a damn fool. As he said this, Sierra looked up at him softly. If it were me, he continued, I would gladly eat pickles with you on a picnic. I'll open your pickle jar for you if you want. And not just your pickle jar either. Whatever other jars you got. Honest. You mean that? Shit, yeah, I do. Sierra reached into her picnic basket and pulled out her unopened pickle jar. She held it out in front of Randall. You want me to do it right now? Yeah. Unless you're going to go back on your word. Hell no, I ain't. Give me that damn thing. Randall snatched the jar from her and, with no trouble at all, popped that lid right off. Sierra gave him a big smile after a little sniffle. Randall smiled back at her. Wow, Sierra said, wiping her tears and letting that bright little smile shine through. You made it look so easy. I've been trying to get that damn jar open for a week, she chuckled, continuing to wipe tears from her face. I told you I had a knack for it. There was a pause. Randall took the opportunity to kiss Sierra on her tear-soaked cheek. You kissed me. Yeah, so? Sierra smiled and clumsily wiped the remaining tears from her eyes. So you do like me more than that fire hydrant? I reckon. Randall offered a stoic smile. Well what? Well, come on. Sierra suddenly turned to sprint down the back alley towards the direction of the soda shop where they met initially. Randall only hesitated for a moment before following her lead. He had to run carefully so as not to spill the open jar of pickles he was now carrying. He passed the tan Mercedes. Shane was still knocked out cold in the car with blood running down his nose. Sierra was a quick little thing, so by the time he made it to the bench in front of the soda shop, he noticed she was already across the street, sitting in the middle of the grassy field on top of her picnic blanket with her picnic basket beside her. She was preparing a sandwich for them to share. He hurried to join her on the blanket. "That's a mighty good-looking sandwich, miss," he said, smiling, slightly out of breath. "Well, it's just missing one thing." She reached over into the pickle jar Randall was holding and pulled out a fresh, crisp pickle. She carefully sliced the pickle into rounds and placed the slices on a mostly completed sandwich. Sierra reached into her basket and pulled out a jar of mayo. She tried to get it open, but couldn't. The damn thing was airtight. Randall reached over and grabbed the mayo jar from her and, in a blink, popped that lid open as well. "What a gentleman," she said, smiling. She lightly kissed Randall on the cheek. They both blushed.